Hey guys, Kevin Downey, thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. In this video, I want to cover a 100-year-old people science called psychometrics, and I'm going to dig into it a little bit, but that is finally really starting to gain traction in business. And it's so interesting in the software that I want to introduce you to specifically as Aptive Index. And it's a relatively new offering on the market. You can see their competitors on the screen here. And it's just amazing. It blows everything else out of the water. And its AI is so next level. And I'm going to show you that here in this video. And it's really the key as to why it's finally gaining traction, right? So if you're not familiar, a little bit of background. Right. Aptive Index, it is technically a psychometric assessment that measures cognitive psychology attributes, or they're called cognitive attributes, right? I say cognitive. And this is the part of a person that is established when you're young, and it doesn't change. It stays stable, unlike all kinds of other things that psychometrics measures. These attributes are what drive our decisions and our actions. Right? They're the ultimate drivers of those things. So it's like your factory settings. If nothing else is affecting you, it is your default go-to mode, right? And we know from statistically validation studies, all kinds of stuff, that and Aptive Index has this on their website under the resources section. We know that utilizing this type of science to hire and manage people is the single best way to do it. Statistically, we know scientifically for a fact, right? What are the worst ways to hire people? Skills and experience, background, resume. Those are the worst. They are the lowest predictors of future success in jobs, right? The number one way, by the way, to hire people is if you independent contractor them on a trial period to do the job for 30, 60, 90 days and then hire them if they work out, right? But after that, it's this, right? This is dead on accurate in measuring people and identifying the wiring pattern, the traits, as you could call them, that drive the way they make decisions and that they act. Now, why is that important in hiring and in business? And again, it's finally gaining traction. In the case of Aptive Index, you know, the science has been around for over a century. Application in business has been decades. Depends on, you know, the way you look at it. But I mean, some of this has been around in business almost 100 years, but certainly decades, the implementation into business, right? And it's gone through you know, the internet, which really increased its usability. But now AI and Aptive Index with its AI called Aria is so next level, right? And that's what I'm really going to show you in this video, and I'm taking too long here. But we know statistically it is the most accurate way to hire people. Why? Because you are identifying the traits, right? The wiring pattern, the attributes, and therefore you match the person to the job based upon that, right? Now they do, yes, you do go back and you cross-reference resume and skills and experience to find the ideal candidate after you do this, but this is the first thing you screen with. Because I don't care what the skills and experience say. At the end of the day, if the wiring pattern doesn't match up for the job, it's not going to work out. And we know that statistically, right? We know that in the United States, we still have a 42 to 47% turnover rate, depending on the data you believe. So almost 1 out of every 2 people is leaving a company in a year, every year. Why? Because we keep doing the same things to hire and it doesn't work. You want to hire the right people so that they are energized to do the job. And that's what the science is all about. The wiring pattern, right? The dots, if we call them that, match up to the job. Now, the trick with this science is that it is relatively complex to understand, so much so that the Aptive Index's competition have to have multi-day workshops to train clients on how to use it, right? And they have advisors and you know, all that stuff and consultants that help with that. But the training to understand the science and the way that the software works and the way that, again, the science works is relatively complex. Now, Aptive Index has turned it on its head, done a full 180, because the science is not only better, right? Because they did a ton of research to develop this product, right? It took over a year in development, but they implemented an extraordinarily high-level AI that now makes it possible, instead of just being an owner and executive team type thing, now you can implement it to every person in the company that has direct reports, plus HR and including internal recruiters, because not everybody needs to go through deep training to understand the science, because it has an AI built in that allows you to ask any question, related question anyway, about a person that takes the index, right? That takes the Aptive Index. So what do you do as a company? So if you dig into the software and you use it, so it's an annual license fee. If you license it, you give this to every single employee in your company, right? From owner all the way down, everybody. And then you give it to every person you're looking to hire as part of your recruiting process. Now you have a window into everybody, and the AI will allow someone, whether it's a hiring manager or a manager or director level or VP or HR, they can get intel or X-ray vision or inside intel into the person that they want to meet with, right? Or they're going to meet with, or they're going to interview, or whatever the case is. So in other words, if let's say a company was looking to hire me or did hire me, right? And I was going to meet with someone for the first time and they were an Aptive Index client, they would have the ability, after I take the assessment, to not only see my pattern, right? My attributes, my profile, but they would be able to ask the AI, okay? You ask the question, introduction to Kevin Downey and first meeting tips. Here you go. Bam. This will tell you everything that you need to know about me. It takes about 5 minutes to read. Now you've got inside information on how I work, how I am wired. And again, psychometric assessments out there are not all the same. They're all measuring different things. There are certain ones, a handful, that measure specifically cognitive psychology attributes or cognitive attributes. That is the thing you want to measure because it's the part that doesn't change. Right? Personality tests, IQ tests, all of those things change. Changes with your experience, skill development, your emotions, day-to-day things, all kinds of stuff like that can change. This is the one thing in psychometrics that doesn't change. It remains stable. It's established when we're young, stays stable throughout our life. So you know that when you measure someone now and you measure them 5 years from now, you're going to see the same thing. And I can attest to that because I've been around this stuff for a decade, and I have taken the same one 5 years apart that works very similar to Aptive Index, and I was identical both times. Identical. Not a single move. And I had no idea. I had no remembering of what I did in the first time I took it. And again, it only takes 8 to 10 minutes to take. So anyway, this is why this science is finally gaining adoption. This AI at Aptive Index is something you really got to look into. Amazing, amazing platform. If you have any questions, reach out. You have my email probably. If you have a link to take it, jump in and take it because the results will come to you in a PDF right away. And then we can jump on a call and talk about using for your company if you want. But the other thing is you want to take it just to see how accurate it is because it's going to blow you away, right? All right. Thanks so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Best of luck in business, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.